Hi everyone, welcome back to Study Hat. In today's video, I'll be sharing our top 11 plus exam tips and tricks with you all, which you can use all the way up leading to your exam. So with that being said, let's get started. The first tip is to be prepared for anything. So as you may know, there are 4 main topics and they are non-verbal reasoning, verbal reasoning, English and mathematics. But within those, you've got hundreds of subtopics and you never know which part of the topic is going to come up in your exam. You will never ever know the exact questions that are going to come up in your exam. So that's why you need to go through each of the topics and go through every single subtopic so that you know that you have the correct method memorized and you know how to put that into action within the exam. So we need to start revising early on. And with revising, you also need to understand the content of what's going to come up in your exam, which you can find in the topic list, which we've very handily done the hard work there for you. So in the description of this video, you'll find a link to the topic list. So within that, you'll be able to see each and every one that could come up. And you need to be familiar with how the exam will be laid out. You also need to work smarter and not harder. And what we mean by this is that you need to create a topic list and you need to work with the resources that you have. So the best way to do this, so to work smarter rather than harder, is you need to use the topic list that has been provided within the link of this video and use a traffic light system. I find is the very, very best way to do this. So with the topics and subtopics that you are really comfortable with, you know that if it comes up in the exam, you are 100% certain that you will get the answer correct. You need to use a green highlighter and highlight that one. And with the the topics that you're fairly confident with, you're pretty happy, but you know that you still need some work going over those, you need to highlight that in orange. And the ones that you find really tricky and you really hope that they don't come up in the exam, but you know that you need to revise them, you need to highlight those ones in red. And this will make your creation of your weekly timetable so much easier. You need to think about how you revise best. It might be that you want to spend all day Saturday doing revision and you need to block off, say 10 to 11, I'm going to be doing non-verbal reasoning, 11 till 12, English, etc. But you need to come up with your own revision timetable, one that you are definitely going to stick with. So repetition is key. And what we mean by this is that you may think that once you have completed a topic, it's done, it's gone, you never have to look at it again. You need to be going back over each topic and each subtopic multiple times. Most of our students will watch the tutorial videos 3 or 4 times, and that is about the right balance of it. So the first time, you're just going to be listening to the video and introducing yourself to that topic. The second time, you're going to be beginning to take that information on board. And the third time, what you're going to want to do is you need to get yourself a pen and some paper. And while you're watching that tutorial video, you need to go through step by step, writing down the method that the tutor has used. And then when you're really confident that you understand the content of that video, that's when you're going to be wanting to move on to the questions. And you can put that new knowledge into practice. And the more times that you do this, the more times you come back to those videos and come back to those same questions, the more you're going to understand that method and feel confident when you're going into your exams. Next up, you're going to want to master timing. And what we mean by this is in the exam, you have got a set amount of time that you are given to complete your exam. And you can be the most confident person going into that exam, but if you do not have your timings right, it may not be as successful for you. So timing is crucial. About 60% of import for the exam is your timing. So as I say, you can go into that exam feeling really confident, knowing that no matter what they throw at you, you are going to be able to answer that. However, if you have not managed your time accordingly within this, and the exam is finished and you've only managed to answer half the questions, it doesn't matter if all of those answers that you've given are correct, because you're still only giving yourself half a chance to pass that exam. The best thing to do is you need to practice using mock exams and scanning through that mock exam and assigning a certain length of time to each section. And the more you practice this, the better at it you'll become. It's definitely a skill, and it's one you're going to use so many times in the future. You're also going to want to utilize different resources. So the top 3 in a multimedia learning approach is the very technical term for it, are video lessons, practice questions, and mock exams. So we've been over the video lessons. They're absolutely fantastic for learning new skills, but they're also brilliant to go back over and refresh your memory with them. You need to, as I said before, go through them and copy down the method, because that method is what's going to get you all of the marks in your exams. Because once you've got the correct method, you've got the correct answer. Practice questions. They're absolutely brilliant for applying your knowledge and receiving an immediate result. Mock exams are fantastic. They are one of the best resources that you can use while you're revising, because these will help with your time management, and they will also help you to identify any weaker areas again. So once you've sat a few mock exams, you'll be able to identify any weaker areas that you have. And again, go back to your topic list, get your highlighters back out, because sometimes when we feel really confident with something, it's always worth addressing. Is it actually a weaker area? You will be able to see once you've sat your mock exam. So, exam day preparation. We are going to be looking at do not sleep on your exam notes. Now, what we mean by this is that leading up to the exam, you need to have a good sleeping pattern. So if you are comfortable sleeping for 8 hours, that's brilliant. If you know you need a bit longer, so you need 10 hours sleep per night, then you need to have 10 hours sleep per night. And leading up to the exam, you need to be making sure that you're eating well. So on the day of the exam, you need to make sure you've had a good breakfast and you're well hydrated, because the brain does shrink if you are dehydrated. And you don't want a shrunken brain on the day of the exam. And remember, you can always binge watch your YouTube videos or play your games at any other point as soon as the exam is over. And at this point, it's so close, because this is what you're doing the week up to the exam. So you're in the exam room and the invigilator has given you the green light to get started on your exam. The very first thing that you need to do is to scan through your exam. Back to front on the pages, you need to look both sides, because they do put questions on both sides of the exam paper. And you need to, with your time management skills, look through this exam and put into sections how long each one is going to take you. You're going to want to analyze each question. And this means as you're scanning through your exam paper, seeing how much time you're going to spend on each of the sections, you need to look at how many marks are available for each question. For a 1 mark question, you need to make 1 point in your answer, which will give you that 1 mark. For a 2 mark question, you need to make 2 points in your answer, and that will get you 2 marks. And so you've finished your exam and it's absolutely brilliant. You're happy with what you've done. You need to go back and double check and triple check your exam paper. You need to read every question and every answer that you've given. And you also need to go back to the questions that perhaps you haven't answered, you weren't too sure on the answer, and you thought, I'll come back to this. Make sure you go back through your exam paper, because you may have forgotten that question and it might be an easy mark that you have lost by not checking. And it's all done. You've finished your exam and it's time to breathe a sigh of relief. It's time to get all of the praise, and Your parents need to let you know how proud of you they are, because they certainly should be. It's time to relax and forget about SATs for a minute because they're coming up, and then in year 7 it's all back to normal. But for now, you can relax. And that is it for today's video. Hopefully these tips have helped you out and given you a few ideas that you can use for your next revision sessions. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and I will talk to you in the next video.